Greetings, fellow tarot travelers. Tripping through the tetrahedral triptych of cards I will now lay before you. I'm Tarot Torch, and now we're going to talk about Brexit. In fact, this is the second video I've made on the topic because there's breaking news on it. And the deck we'll be using today is the Golden Worth Tarot. The Golden Worth Tarot is the true British system of tarot. There have been many systems that were born out of England, but none other than the Worth Tarot that was created, manufactured, and is 100% British. So, the British government has just denied Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit deal with an astounding 432 votes versus 202 votes. Britain must still leave the EU on March 29, 2019, with or without a plan. Theresa May has survived a no-confidence vote held on Wednesday over the Brexit vote. May has explained that there can be no other plan than hers, and to suggest another plan is to usher a catastrophe. And, in her own words, that her plan not being passed is a catastrophe. And to continue with Brexit without a plan is also a catastrophe. England is now back where it was before it started negotiating her plan, and the March 29th deadline of Article 50 is looming near. The defeat is a huge blow for Mrs. May, who has spent more than 2 years hammering out a deal with the EU. The Labour Party now wants to introduce its plan, but a second referendum is more than likely to be held, with most Parliament leaders returning to their constituency and pleading for a referendum on public media. Members of Parliament who want either a further referendum or a softer version of the Brexit proposed by Mrs. May, or to stop Brexit altogether, or to leave without a deal, will ramp up their efforts to get what they want, as a now weakened Prime Minister offers to listen to their arguments. What now is the future for Brexit in the UK? Will a referendum be held? Will rioting break out? Is this the unending confusion of what the devil card in the last Brexit video I made was referring to? Will there be a hard Brexit with no passable negotiations? Well, for more information on Brexit, I suggest you watch my earlier video on Brexit where I defined many of the current problems facing it. And when we don't have answers to questions that I have just brought up and others, it's time to face the tarot, because the tarot offers us possible insights into the nature of things. It may not answer the question specifically inquired, but it definitely always has something to say. So this deck is only higher arcana, so it only deals with the 22 cards at the highest level of spiritual reasoning in a tarot deck. And trust me, Great Britain needs that kind of power. Our first card is the World. Now, the World, written as Le Monde, because that was the way tarot cards had been done in the time Worth made this deck. The World means that England needs to face the fact it's not an isolated country. I know the British and the Americans are going through an isolationist period with tariffs and ultra-nationalism and racial issues as people look back to racial heritages that built their country. The fact is, we live in a big world and a big planet. And the fact remains that America can no longer cut off all ties to all other foreign countries and all other races than the white people, than England can. It's a ridiculous idea. We are a singular global community. Not everybody wants to live in England, trust me. People just want jobs and places that are safe to raise their family. And once again, and you saw me shuffle a deck, the Devil card is once again in the middle of the reading for Brexit. Oh my gosh, that's twice in a row. At the heart of the reading is the devil. Well, folks, that explains an awful lot. There's something wrong with this whole Brexit ideology. A group of people voted it in. The entire country did not vote it in. It works against global economic theory. Maybe the EU is overstepping its boundaries and becoming totalitarian. Maybe it doesn't favor island states because of the limited geography. And maybe there are racial issues with migration and other things. Okay, the EU, maybe it doesn't work. But being separate from the EU doesn't work. And having a Brexit doesn't work. And having a non-negotiated Brexit doesn't work. The devil card's telling us nothing's gonna work. The devil card says people are gonna end up rioting on the street and shooting at each other before this is over. That's where the devil card leads. It leads to utter hopelessness, and it leads to violence and corruption. Nothing good is gonna come from this Brexit deal, and I'm so sorry to see the devil at the heart of this again. And oh my, the final card is La Maison Dieu, which is the Tower card. If you look closely at the Tower card, you'll see that it is a tower that's been hit by God, by the lightning, by a bolt from the star, the sun. And falling from the tower are people getting hit with bricks as they fall to the ground. There's been a lot of study about this card. I love Jodorowsky's interpretation that, in fact, they're not falling from the tower, they're floating in the sky studying herbology. They're just seeing the world from a different level. And I must say that is part of the interpretation of the Tower card. It does have to do with eccentricity and seeing things from a new light. But it also represents disasterism. Well, we have the world, and we have the devil, and we have disaster. That's what Brexit is facing right now. As a tarot reader, folks, my opinion is there's going to be a problem passing any kind of Brexit with England. I think we're going to be lost in a mire of problems with the courts and with the ability to bring through customs imports and with rioting and with mayhem for years to come. In fact, that's what the devil likes most, is the destructionism of the tower. But it is the globe and the world that we are coming to. You see, the only reason to have destructionism of the tower, which could include war and invasion, and certainly the devil invites that, and it could also mean imports from the EU of Chinese drugs that will destroy and destabilize the population, like fentanyl. All of these concerns are genuine, but the reason why the tower is present is because the structure that we had been living by, the tower itself, was too stratified and it was too structuralized. And with the devil present, especially in concern with the EU, it was structuralized and stratified incorrectly. And so lightning has to hit the tower and bring down the status quo with revolution if necessary. But all of this is to help us to emerge at a greater global consciousness. I mean, the whole point of the EU is to create a global economy and a global consciousness to accept the world. You know, people are saying, but not in my backyard. Well, folks, the world is in your backyard. If you look in your backyard, all the plants there, probably at least 50 and in some cases 90% of them were imported from foreign countries. And the bricks that you use, they could have been locally manufactured, but they could have come from foreign countries. The mortar from the bricks, the barbecue in your backyard. A lot of things in your backyard already are from foreign countries. We have a global economy, we have a world, and that's where this is all leading toward. But evidently not until some destructionism happens first. And with the devil in charge, the devil may care. Think of it. Theresa May works for 2 years. She gets a Brexit deal working with the EU, and it gets voted out. And they have nothing to vote in. And the deadline is looming. And nobody knows where they stand. Is that the devil? Or what? It's either the devil or the tower. You take your choice. And if you follow either of these paths, you're courting problems. The only safe path at this time is to court a global consensus, a global economy, a global culture. I'm not saying England should stop being England. Everybody moves to England to become more British. We all love the accent. We all love the Beeb. We all love the Beatles. It's not like there's a problem with British culture, ancient or new. That's why everyone's there. But the British culture is not something to be isolated and peculiar and eccentric and strange in the world theater. The British culture only works as an integrative thing. That's what the British Empire was about. This is what the new level of global empire is about. Everything has to be integrated into a global system, or we invite the devil and we invite destructionism. Oh my word, I would say keep an eye on the news. Big things are going to be let loose and breaking free now.